The night before the final clash of the Galaxy Games was not for rest, it was for fire. The grand halls of the celestial seat were alive with a celebration that thrummed through the stone like a second heartbeat. Wine flowed like liquid gold, laughter rose to the vaulted ceilings, and every god, spirit, and champion from the victorious galaxies had gathered to taste the glory that still hung in the air. At the center of it all, like a sun around which others orbited, was Naraka. Gods he had known for eons clapped his shoulder, their respect hard-won and genuine. Gods came to him in waves, old allies, younger war spirits, angels, fallen angels, animal gods, elemental gods, each one gripping his forearm, each one pressing their faith into his hands. Bring the Galaxy Trophy home. Do not let Xytheron take it. Let them learn who the heavens belong to. Naraka nodded. He accepted it all. He was smiling at the right times. He was saying the right words. But his mind wasn't fully there. His eyes scanned the crowd, a golden, searching light. You are watching the Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. Across the hall, the hunter goddess stood by a fountain of shimmering ether, finally allowing herself a moment to breathe. That was when she felt it, a presence she knew too well. The snake goddess approached. The hunter goddess rested one hand on the fountain's edge, shoulders lowering as she breathed. They were not the kind of rivals who hugged. They were the kind who watched each other bleed and called it fairness. Congratulations. Thank you, the hunter goddess said, her voice guarded. The smile she offered was small, uncertain. I am excited for the final games, the snake goddess said, her slit-pupilled eyes unblinking. I cannot wait to see you wearing that crown. A flicker of vulnerability broke through the hunter goddess's composure. I am afraid, she admitted, the confession pulled from her almost against her will. Did you see how Zyreth and Korvax fought? They didn't waste a breath. They were pure calculation. Zyreth won by turning the arena itself into a weapon. I didn't see her fight. I saw her solve. That is terrifying. The snake goddess's lips curved, not in mockery, but in a rare, genuine understanding. That fear means your heart is on the right plane. You are not arrogant. You see the cliff's edge. Good. She leaned in slightly, her voice dropping. Use that fear. Sharpen it. A hunter who does not respect her prey is already dead. The profound truth of it settled between them, a bridge over their old rivalry. The hunter goddess nodded, a new resolve quieting her nerves. Thank you. Before she could say more, a new presence arrived, bringing the scent of damp soil and ancient bark. Congratulations. The forest god stood before her, tall and solid as an oak, his eyes the deep green of a sun-dappled canopy. His voice was a low, soothing rumble. Congratulations, he said. The hunter goddess looked up, and before she could stop it, her face softened. Thank you, she replied. There was something shy in her smile that did not belong on a battlefield. The forest god noticed. His eyes stayed on hers, unhurried, intimate. You fought like the wind fights, he said. Beautiful and deadly. The hunter goddess's throat tightened. She looked away, pretending to adjust her grip on her cup. I almost lost, she said, trying to turn the moment into something practical. But you didn't, the forest god replied, his voice lowered, and tomorrow you will not. The hunter goddess's eyes lifted again. Their gazes met. For a second it felt like the hall fell away, like it was just them. The forest god tilted his head slightly, his stare soft but bold. You're going to wear that crown, he said, and it will look like it belongs on your head. The hunter goddess smiled again, smaller, warmer. She looked away quickly, as if afraid of what her face might confess. And across the hall, Naraka saw it. He was supposed to be listening. Aphrodite stood near him, radiant and laughing, saying something about how tonight's victory had made the champions glow. Naraka nodded at the right moments, but he did not hear a word. His eyes were fixed on the hunter goddess, on her smile, on the way she looked away, on the way she stayed in the forest god's space just long enough to make Naraka's chest tighten. His jaw clenched. He told himself it was nothing. He told himself it was irrelevant. He told himself he was only protecting his teammate. But his feet moved anyway. "Excuse me?" he said to Aphrodite, already leaving her behind. He cut through the crowd like a blade cutting cloth. He reached them fast, too fast. The forest god turned slightly, ready to greet him. Naraka did not even look at him. Not once. Not a nod. Not a word. His focus was only the hunter goddess. "We train," Naraka said. The hunter goddess blinked. "Train?" she repeated. "Naraka, we just arrived. This celebration is for us." Naraka's voice hardened. "They want the trophy," he said. "They want us to bring it home, but they do not carry the burden. We carry it." The hunter goddess's eyes narrowed. "We can rest," she said. "We can breathe." "We don't have time," Naraka replied. The forest god's smile remained, but it sharpened into something knowing. He tried to enter politely. "Lion god," he began. "Congratulations." Naraka ignored him again. The air cooled. The hunter goddess noticed. Her anger flickered. "Naraka," she warned softly, but Naraka's eyes stayed locked on hers, intense, too close, too personal. "You're coming," he said. The hunter goddess stared at him. "You're not even hearing yourself," she said. Naraka's jaw flexed. The forest god's serene expression didn't change, but a knowing light entered his eyes. He had been gently, definitively, iced out. Then the god of the universe stood up. Everyone quieted down immediately.
"A toast to Naraka and the hunter goddess, victors of the first clash of the galaxies."
A roaring cheer erupted. Glasses were raised. Naraka and the hunter goddess were forced to acknowledge the crowd with stiff nods.
"The next battle,"
he continued, his gaze encompassing them both,
"is between the celestial seat and my brother's galaxy, Xytheron. It will be hard, unforgettable."
He paused, letting the weight sink in.
"I would advise you both to get your rest, lion god, hunter goddess. Tomorrow will be complex. My brother's champions are not to be underestimated."
He leaned closer, his voice dropping.
"My brother would enjoy a simple victory, but I would relish a spectacle. Do you understand?"
They bowed their heads, the message chilling and clear. For the god of the universe's own champions to lose on this stage would be an embarrassment, a crack in the faith of their entire domain. This was no longer just a game. It was a defense of their god's honor. Understanding completely, they turned and left the celebration behind, the sounds of merriment fading as the great doors closed. Outside, in the silent, starlit corridor, she whirled on him. "What was that?" "What was what?" Naraka replied, striding ahead, not slowing. "That, with the forest god. You said nothing to him." "So?" he shot back, stopping finally to face her. "He was offering congratulations, and you treated him like a ghost. Why?" Naraka's jaw worked. The golden fire in his eyes was turbulent, confused. He had no answer that made sense, even to himself. He only knew the sight of them together had sent a sharp, hot pain through his chest and a primal, roaring command in his blood. Mine. "Tomorrow is," he began, deflecting. "Tomorrow is a big day. Yes," she interrupted, her eyes flashing. "Which is why we should be centered, not creating tension with allies. What is wrong with you?" Jealousy. The word echoed in the silent halls of his mind, absurd and terrifying. He was the lion god, the heavenly champion. He did not get jealous, he conquered. The very idea was a weakness he could not afford, a vulnerability he dared not name. But it was there, coiling in his gut, making him act like a territorial cub. "I saw his look," Naraka finally gritted out, the admission raw. "I know his influence. We cannot afford distractions." "His look," she echoed, incredulous. Then understanding dawned, and her anger melted into something more complex. Her gaze searched his face, seeing the conflict there, the fierce, unspoken thing he was fighting. Her voice softened. "Naraka." "He said we must rest," Naraka said, retreating behind duty, his voice rough. "I am making sure we follow his will." She studied him for a long moment, the tension between them shifting from anger into something charged, thick and unspoken. The air hummed with all the words they were not saying. Finally, she nodded. "I know what is at stake, Naraka." They parted for their own quarters, the silence between them louder than any celebration. Behind his door, Naraka paced, the image of her smiling at the forest god burning behind his eyes. Behind hers, the hunter goddess sat on the edge of her bed, touching her own lips, wondering why her heart was racing from a quarrel and why the lion god's jealous, flustered anger felt more like a confession than any sweet word from the forest could ever be. Tomorrow, they would face the calculated void of Xytheron. But tonight, a different, more confusing battle had already begun. The new day dawned not with light, but with a quiet so deep it felt like a held breath. Behind the celestial seat gate, Naraka and the hunter goddess stood in the half-dark. This time there was no shaking breath, no second thoughts, no what if. The hunter goddess rolled her shoulders once, quiet and controlled, her bow already in her hands. She checked the string, she checked the fletching, she checked her grip. Not because she was nervous, but because today demanded perfection. Her eyes were fixed forward, sharp as a spear tip. Naraka stood beside her, tall, still, heavy with presence, wings folded. He glanced at her, not to comfort her, not today. Today, her focus was comfort enough. They had trained hard for this. They had bled for this. They had survived the first clash. Now there was only one thing left. Win. Behind the eastern gate, it was not quiet. It was the hum of absolute precision. Korvax stood like a monument, internal systems running silent diagnostics. His armor plates shifted minutely, recalibrating joint pressure and kinetic dampeners. Zyreth's eyes were closed, her mind a torrent of data. She reviewed every frame of Naraka's previous fight, his tells, his power output, the arc of his wing beats. She analyzed the hunter goddess's arrow trajectories, her evasion patterns, the flicker in her eyes before she committed to a strike. Every system was triple-checked. Every variable was accounted for. Her segmented scorpion tail hovered behind her, its needlepoint tip glinting, running its own lethal calibration. In the arena, the roar of millions was a physical force. The god of the universe let it wash over him, his smile a slash of pure lightning in the cosmic dark. He finally raised his hands, and the sound died, not out of obedience this time, but out of desperate, hungry anticipation.
My dear galaxies!
His voice was thunder wrapped in silk, shaking the stars in the sky.
Today is the day we crown the Galaxy champions.
The explosion of sound was deafening. The Savannians were on their feet, screaming themselves raw. Lunara's people chimed with frantic, beautiful noise. Silaris's silence was a tense, vibrating wire. Xytheron's section did not cheer. They stood in perfect, rigid attention, a silent wall of expectation.
But this crown will not be given. It will be taken,
he boomed.
In this final clash, power against precision, the fury of the heavens against the calculation of the machine.
He turned to the eastern gate, his arms sweeping out.
From the forged dominion of Xytheron, I give you the inevitable, the blade of absolute logic, Zyreth, and the unbreakable wall, Korvax.
The gate exploded inward, not with fire, but with a wave of pressurized air and a deep mechanical thrum. Zyreth emerged first, each step a study in lethal grace. Her integrated armor gleamed under the arena lights, and her scorpion tail arched over her shoulder like a living question mark of death, its segments moving with silent, oiled precision. Behind her, Korvax marched, his footsteps landing with the final heavy certainty of a verdict. The Xytheron section answered with a single synchronized stomp that cracked the air. The god of the universe whirled to the western gate, his grin widening.
And from the celestial seat, the very heart of divine war itself, I give you the storm, the lion god of the golden roar, Naraka, and the falcon-hearted blade, the hunter goddess.
This gate dissolved in a blaze of solar fire. Naraka emerged, not walking but striding, a king entering his domain. His golden mane blazed, and his feathered wings of flame unfolded with a sound like a roaring forge, scattering hot light across the floor. Beside him, the hunter goddess moved with the silent, deadly grace of a wind-swept arrow. Her eyes were chips of polished silver, fixed ahead, seeing only the fight. The two pairs met at the center of the arena. No words were exchanged. Zyreth's calculating gaze swept over them, storing data. Korvax stared, an unmoving mountain of plated alloy. Naraka's burning eyes held a promise of unleashed fury. The hunter goddess's sharp focus was a needle pointed directly at the flaw in their system. The crowd was a living, screaming entity. Amarith leaned forward, smiling like she wanted blood and beauty in the same breath. Voryan's fingers remained still, but his gaze sharpened like a blade behind glass. And somewhere already seated, Yeshua watched without show. No cheering, no performance. The god of the universe lifted his hands. The arena listened. He spoke one word, and it felt like a key turning inside creation.
Arena.
The ground answered. A deep vibration ran through the floor, low at first, then rising like a living heartbeat. The arena was excited, not like a crowd, like a creature, like a god asleep inside stone, waking up hungry. The god of the universe smiled wider, thrilled by the power beneath him.
Choose, give us our battlefield.
The arena groaned, not in pain, in creation. Cracks of light ran across the ground like veins, spreading outward from the center. The air thickened, the stands shimmered. And then the arena began to rearrange itself, rolling, folding, lifting, space bending like fabric in the hands of something that knew how to sew worlds. Millions held their breath, because this was the moment before violence. The moment before fate picked a shape. And whatever landscape the arena chose, it would decide who deserved to be champion. The arena of eternity floor shattered like glass as colossal mountains of black, jagged rock burst upwards, scraping the arena's sky. The air filled with a deafening, grinding roar. From the peaks of these newborn mountains, volcanoes awoke. They didn't just smoke, they screamed, vomiting rivers of molten lava that poured down the slopes in glowing orange-red veins. The ground itself trembled and split, releasing gouts of superheated steam and the rotten egg stench of sulfur. In seconds, the glorious battlefield was transformed into a glorious, gloomy hellscape. It was a living, breathing death trap. Ash began to fall like filthy snow, coating everything in grey. The heat was a physical wall, a pressure cooker that made the air shimmer and warp. The very ground was unstable, trembling with constant earthquakes that could shatter an ankle or send a warrior tumbling into a fiery crevice. This landscape wasn't a stage. It was a third hostile fighter. In the stands, Hades, god of the underworld, smiled a wide, knowing smile. If he were fighting, this would be a stroll through his home. But for the others, this was pure torment. Naraka stepped forward first, the searing heat hitting him like a punch. Sweat instantly beaded on his brow and dripped down his neck. His golden fur seemed to dull under the falling ash. He felt the unstable ground shift under his feet. No firm footing, no solid charge. This landscape demanded caution, not just brute force. Korvax and Zyreth entered next. A chorus of sharp, urgent beeps and warning hums immediately chirped from their armor, their sleek, Polished surfaces were already clouding with ash. Tiny vents on their bodies whirred desperately, trying to cool overheating systems. The intense heat was a chaos of static in their precise minds. Circuits stressed, cooling systems strained. Their greatest strength, their perfect machinery, was already under attack by the environment. The hunter goddess took a breath and regretted it. The superheated, sulfur-thick air scorched her lungs. Her breath quickened, her body fighting for air in the thin, toxic atmosphere. Her sharp eyes, used to tracking movement in clear air, now stung from the ash and haze. The hunt here would be blind, sluggish, a battle against the world itself. From his throne, Voryan's cold composure finally cracked, a single, sharp frown. His champions were built for clean battlefields, not for elemental chaos. Their systems were failing the first test. The god of the universe leaned forward, his eyes blazing with delight. This was better than he'd hoped. A landscape of death. A true test.
Warriors,
his voice boomed, cutting through the volcanic rumbles.
Step into your arena. See the ground that will test your strength. Feel the air that will burn your resolve.
He watched them struggle for a magnificent, painful moment. Naraka planting his feet against a tremor, Zyreth's tail flicking erratically as it overheated, the hunter goddess wiping ash from her eyes.
This is not a battle of speed,
he declared, his grin wild.
This is a battle of survival. Preserve your energy, master the chaos, or let it consume you.
He raised his hand high, the signal that held the fate of the galaxies. The crowd was silent, holding its breath, watching the champions fight just to stand their ground. His hand dropped.
Begin.
The final fight for the galaxy crown started not with a clash, but with a struggle. 4 gods fighting a world of fire and stone just to reach each other. The arena did not wait for them to find rhythm. It attacked. The ground buckled the moment Korvax lunged forward. A violent tremor split the stone between him and Naraka, a crack racing outward like lightning trapped in rock. Lava glowed beneath it, close enough to burn the air. Naraka leapt back just in time. The heat slammed into his chest, his wings flexed once. Instinct, but he stopped himself. Flying here was dangerous. The air was thick with ash. Visibility was poor. Every breath tasted of smoke and sulfur. Korvax did not hesitate. His feet slammed into the ground with mechanical precision. Each step was calculated, every movement measured against the tremors beneath them. Terrain instability. High adaptive route engaged. He charged. Naraka met him head-on. Their collision sounded like mountains striking each other. Korvax's fist smashed into Naraka's side, sending him skidding across broken stone. Naraka rolled, barely stopping himself from sliding into a lava channel that hissed and snapped inches away. He growled low in his throat. So, this was how it would be. Naraka shifted, muscle rippling, bones stretching, and in a blink, the lion god stood fully revealed. A colossal winged lion, mane singed at the edges by heat, eyes burning brighter than the lava itself. The crowd roared. Korvax recalibrated instantly. Target mass, increase force output, adjusted. He slammed both fists into the ground. The arena answered. A sinkhole opened beneath Naraka's front paws without warning. The stone collapsed inward, dragging him down as lava surged closer, heat licking at his fur. Naraka roared, not in fear, but in fury, and dug his claws deep into the rock. Stone cracked, his muscles strained. With a violent heave, he pulled himself free, just as molten rock spilled into the hole. The arena was trying to kill them both. Korvax used the chaos. He leapt forward, striking while Naraka was still recovering. Metal met muscle. Sparks flew as Naraka's claws raked across Korvax's armor, tearing deep grooves into reinforced plating. Korvax staggered. Not much, but enough. Armor breach, minor damage acceptable. He responded with a brutal elbow to Naraka's jaw. Naraka went down hard. Ash exploded around him as his body crashed into the ground. For a brief second, the world spun. Heat pressed down. The arena groaned again, another tremor building. Naraka pushed up on one foreleg, shaking his head. Adapt, he told himself, or die. He spread his wings and launched upward. The crowd gasped. For one perfect second, it worked. Above the ash, the air was clearer. The battlefield looked small. Korvax looked slow. Then the arena screamed. A volcano erupted directly beneath Naraka. Fire and lava exploded upward like a living thing. The blast caught his left wing mid-beat. Lava splashed across feathers and flesh. Naraka roared in pain. He spiraled down, crashing into the ground with bone-shaking force. The impact sent another shockwave through the arena. The arena was not punishing flight. It was forbidding it. Across the battlefield, Zyreth moved. She flowed across the broken terrain, her scorpion tail slicing through ash-filled air, striking the ground to anchor her balance as the earth shifted. Her eyes burned as she tracked the hunter goddess, who had already disappeared into the smoke. The hunter goddess did not run. She hunted. She moved low, fast, using broken rock as cover. The heat burned her lungs, but she ignored it. Her focus narrowed. Every sound mattered. Every tremor told a story. A sinkhole opened behind her. She rolled forward, barely escaping, as the ground collapsed where she had stood. Zyreth struck. Her tail whipped forward, cracking stone where the hunter goddess had been a heartbeat before. The impact sent shards flying like knives. The hunter goddess fired. The arrow cut through ash and heat, grazing Zyreth's shoulder. Blood, or maybe mechanical fluid, hissed as it hit the hot ground. Zyreth smiled. She surged forward, blades flashing, tail lashing again. The hunter goddess blocked, rolled, fired again. Closer this time. They circled each other as the ground shook beneath them. Two predators. No mercy. Back with Naraka, he rose slowly, blood and ash streaking his mane. His wing burned. One flight feather was gone completely, melted to nothing. Korvax advanced. Step, step, step. Each movement precise, relentless. Opponent, fatigue, increasing strike window. Open. Korvax swung. Naraka caught the blow. Claws wrapped around metal. Muscle screamed. Stone cracked beneath Naraka's feet as he held Korvax in place. Not today, Naraka growled. He slammed his head forward. The impact dented Korvax's helm. Sparks burst. Korvax staggered back, systems screaming warnings. Balance failure system override required. The arena chose that moment to quake again. Both warriors lost footing. Lava surged closer. Ash thickened. The crowd was on its feet now. Gods leaned forward. Even the arena seemed to hold its breath. This was no longer just a fight. This was survival. And none of them could afford to lose focus, not for a single heartbeat. The arena had decided. Flight was no longer allowed. The air itself turned heavy, crushing. Every time Naraka's wings twitched, the pressure pushed him down, hard, unforgiving. The arena wanted feet on the ground. It wanted bone against bone, strength against strength. Naraka felt it immediately. He flexed his wings once more. Nothing. The ground answered instead, cracking beneath his weight. Across from him, Korvax froze for half a second. System delay, 3.2 seconds. Response, lag. Critical. Korvax's fist moved too late. Naraka struck. His paw slammed into Korvax's chest like a falling mountain. Metal bent inward. The sound echoed across the volcanic field. Korvax staggered back, boots scraping against hot stone. Lava splashed near his feet. Damage escalating. Recommend evasion. Korvax did not evade. He stopped. His eyes dimmed slightly. System shutdown initiated. The lights in his armor went dark. For the first time, Korvax stood as he truly was. Raw power, muscle reinforced by steel, instinct buried beneath years of calculation. He exhaled. "No more numbers," he said quietly. Then he charged. Naraka welcomed it. They collided again, this time with nothing holding them back. Korvax's fist smashed into Naraka's jaw. Blood sprayed across the ash. Naraka answered with a clawed swipe that tore through armor and flesh alike. Korvax grunted, but did not fall. They traded blows, slow, brutal, devastating. No elegance, no tricks, just force. The ground shook with every impact. A sinkhole opened behind Naraka. He barely shifted his weight in time, dragging Korvax with him. Korvax slammed an elbow into Naraka's ribs, cracking something deep. Naraka roared. He bit down. His jaws clamped onto Korvax's shoulder. Metal crunched. Korvax screamed, not in fear, but in pain, and drove a knee into Naraka's chest, breaking free. Both staggered, both bleeding, both smiling. Elsewhere, the smoke thickened. The hunter goddess became invisible. Ash and fire were her cloak. She moved without sound, her bow drawn, breath steady despite the heat burning her lungs. Zyreth hissed softly. Her scorpion tail rose high, sharp and deadly, swaying as she listened. Her eyes tracked movement through instinct now, not data, not prediction. This was unfamiliar and dangerous. An arrow cut through the smoke. Zyreth twisted just in time. The arrow grazed her side, drawing blood that steamed in the heat. She struck back instantly, her tail whipped forward, smashing into stone where the hunter goddess had been a heartbeat earlier. The impact shattered rock. The hunter goddess leapt, rolled, fired again. Another arrow struck Zyreth's thigh. Zyreth roared. She charged into the smoke. Bad choice. The hunter goddess dropped low, slid beneath Zyreth's strike, and drove a blade into her side. Zyreth screamed, tail lashing wildly. They fell together into the ash. Claws, blades, teeth. Zyreth's stinger pierced the hunter goddess's shoulder. She cried out, but did not stop. She drove her dagger deep into Zyreth's chest. Blood poured. The ground shook again. A lava surge rolled toward them. The hunter goddess ripped herself free, rolling away just as molten rock consumed the space between them. Zyreth collapsed, breathing hard, her strength fading. Back with Naraka, Korvax landed a devastating blow to Naraka's side. Naraka staggered, his vision blurred. Lava heat burned his wounds. Korvax raised his fist for the final strike. Naraka surged forward instead. He lowered his head and rammed Korvax full force. They crashed into a stone pillar. It shattered. Naraka pinned Korvax beneath him, paws pressing down, weight unbearable. Korvax struggled. This was the end. This was always the end. Once Naraka had you pinned, the fight was over. Every god knew it. Every arena remembered it. Korvax did not. For a heartbeat, he lay there, breath ragged, blood pooling beneath his back. Naraka leaned closer, teeth bared, certain. Then Korvax laughed. It was low, broken, defiant. "You think I came this far to die beneath you?" Metal screamed. Korvax surged upward, throwing Naraka off him with a roar that shook the volcanic field. Naraka crashed into the ash, rolling hard, stunned. Korvax staggered to his feet, chest heaving, blood and oil mixing as one. Across the arena, Vorian stood rigid. Korvax straightened, lifting his head toward his god. Then he charged again. They met like colliding worlds, fist against claw, bone against steel. Naraka slammed Korvax into the ground. Korvax answered by driving his elbow into Naraka's throat. Naraka reeled back, coughing, fury blazing. The ground split beneath them. Lava hissed. Ash blinded. Neither yielded. Elsewhere, the smoke thinned just enough to reveal another war. The hunter goddess and Zyreth were locked together, rolling through ash and fire. Zyreth's scorpion tail lashed wildly, tearing through stone, narrowly missing flesh. The hunter goddess caught it. Her hands wrapped around the barbed length, muscles screaming as the stinger drove toward her chest. She planted her feet, teeth clenched and pulled. Zyreth shrieked. The hunter goddess twisted, dragged herself up the tail and raised her blade. "This ends now!" She brought it down. The blade struck again and again. With a sickening crack, the scorpion tail split, severed halfway through. Blood sprayed. The stinger fell into the ash, twitching, lifeless. Zyreth screamed, staggering back, clutching the ruined limb. Her balance was gone. Her body did not know itself anymore. She stared at the severed tail in disbelief. "I've never—" Her voice broke. The hunter goddess did not wait. Zyreth snarled and drew her twin blades instead, abandoning the tail, adapting in pure rage. She lunged, steel flashing. The hunter goddess blocked once, twice, then took a cut across the ribs. Blood soaked her armor. They traded strikes brutally now. No distance, no grace, only survival. Zyreth drove a blade into the hunter goddess's thigh. The hunter goddess answered by burying her dagger deep into Zyreth's shoulder. They screamed together, faces inches apart, eyes burning. They tore apart, barely standing. Back at the heart of the battlefield, Naraka and Korvax stood again, both ruined. Korvax's movements slowed. Naraka felt it. The delay was no longer machinery. It was exhaustion, blood loss, the cost of refusing to fall. Korvax swung. Naraka caught the blow. This time, Korvax did not break free. Naraka pulled him close, forehead pressed to his. "You fought like a god," Naraka said quietly. Korvax smiled, weak, proud. That was the point. Naraka drove his strength forward one final time. The ground buckled. Korvax collapsed, breath leaving him in a shattered exhale. Alive, but done. Meanwhile, Zyreth staggered back, ash clinging to her skin, blood streaking her side. The loss of her scorpion tail had changed everything. Her balance was wrong. Her instincts screamed. Every movement now required thought, and thought was a luxury in this arena. The hunter goddess did not rush. She circled. Her breath was steady now. Her eyes were sharp. She had learned Zyreth's rhythm, her reach, the way her shoulders dipped before she struck. Zyreth lunged, blades flashing. Steel met steel. They clashed again, close, brutal, unforgiving. Zyreth fought with fury now, anger driving her, each strike heavier than the last. The hunter goddess absorbed the blows, redirected them, used the broken ground to her advantage. Ash rose around them. Zyreth slipped, just for a second. That was enough. The hunter goddess moved like lightning. She hooked her leg behind Zyreth's knee, twisted and drove her down hard. The ground cracked beneath them. Zyreth gasped, the wind torn from her lungs. Before she could rise, the hunter goddess stood over Zyreth, blade at her throat, chest heaving, eyes blazing. Zyreth dropped her weapons. Ash fell between them. The arena groaned, deep, satisfied. It had tested them all. The hunter goddess stepped back. Victory did not need another death. The god of the universe rose, voice thunderous, reverent.
Victory to the celestial seat.
The heavens erupted. Naraka and the hunter goddess stood together, bloodied, broken, barely upright. They had not been given this win. They had taken it, and no one in the arena would ever forget how hard it was earned. The inner circle surged to their feet, hands to their chests, voices breaking with awe. Angels cried out, archangels lifted their wings. The fallen cheered. Lunara stood and clapped, their composure gone, joy blazing in their eyes. Ashera smiled broadly, clapping without restraint. Her people, usually calm, were undone, cheering, shouting, shaken by what they had just witnessed. Amarith laughed in disbelief, applauding hard. "Strength," she said softly. "True strength." Vorian did not move at first. Then he inclined his head, slowly, deliberately, toward Naraka and the hunter goddess. This had been fair. This had been earned. Korvax, bruised and blooded, followed his god's lead. He met Naraka's eyes and bowed once, warrior to warrior. Naraka returned it. So did the hunter goddess. This moment demanded joy. The god of the universe lifted his hands.
Bring forth the crowns.
Angels descended, carrying 2 radiant circlets. Robes followed, flowing, luminous, heavy with honor. The crowns were placed upon their heads, the robes draped over their shoulders. They stood together, scarred, bloodied, unbroken, victors, champions. The god of the universe raised his hand, and even the heavens grew still.
My dear galaxies,
He said, his voice deep with ancient weight.
Since the games began, the horn of the gods has remained silent. It is not sounded for triumph alone, nor for spectacle, but for certainty.
He turned, extending his arm toward the champions.
Before me stand the hunter goddess and the lion god, Naraka, victors beyond dispute.
At his signal, the High Herald of Eternity stepped forward, bearing a single colossal horn forged from starbone and time itself. When the horn was raised and blown, the sound did not echo, it entered. It passed through marrow and memory, through gods and realms, through the bones of creation. Every being felt it, every world knew it. This was not celebration. This was recognition. The highest honor the heavens could bestow had been given. The arena fell silent. Then Naraka turned to her. No hesitation, no doubt. He took her face in his hands and kissed her. Gasps rippled through the heavens. The cheering stopped. The hunter goddess froze, then melted into it, breath caught, heart racing. She did not pull away. She did not resist. He knew. He had known since the night before, since the jealousy, since the fear, since the realization that he could not bear the thought of anyone else standing beside her. He was the lion god. She was the greatest huntress of the galaxies. And he would not let the world claim her without knowing she was his. The arena seemed to hum in approval. The god of the universe smiled. This was not just victory. This was destiny, and the Galaxy Games would be remembered for this moment above all others. Later, when the crowds had gone, when the cheers had faded into memory, when even the echoes had learned how to rest, the arena stood quiet. The four gods remained. The ground was still warm. The air hummed softly, as if the arena itself were listening. The god of the universe stepped forward.
You have done well, old friend,
he said, his voice no longer thunder, but gratitude.
You carried our will, you tested our champions, you held creation itself and did not falter.
The arena answered, not in words, but in a deep, gentle vibration that moved through the void like a breath. It was my honor, the sound seemed to say. My purpose fulfilled. Vorian inclined his head. We release you now, he said. Return to your rest, return to your light. Ashera stepped forward next, her dark form radiant against the fading glow. Thank you for your service, she said softly. You reminded us who we are, gods, creators. Amarith smiled, eyes warm. Until we meet again, old friend. They reached for one another, hands joined. Essence flowed, not as sacrifice, but as blessing. Power moved through them, steady and whole, and into the arena itself. The ground trembled, not in pain, but in transformation. Stones softened into light, structure folded inward. The vast body of the arena began to close, gently, deliberately, like a great being returning to sleep. Before them, it reshaped itself, smaller, brighter, purer. A star, not just any star. It hovered there, glowing with a quiet brilliance that outshone every other light in the heavens. The god stepped back. The star pulsed once, as if in farewell. Then it took its place among the cosmos, silent, watchful, waiting, closed until the next calling, until the next agreement, until it would be called again. The Galaxy Games were over, but their echo would never fade. And that, my dear tribe, brings us to the end of Season 4 of our Mermaids, Lion People and Witches storyline. What a season it has been. This story took turns, demanded patience, and, as always, it ended the only way it could, with a battle. I hope you enjoyed this journey as much as I did, bringing it to life. I also hope Your new year has been a little less busy than mine. As we move forward, I'm hoping we can all settle back into a rhythm, one that leaves room for stories, for reflection, and for connection. How are you, truly? How is life treating you? Let me know. I would genuinely love to hear from you. And tell me, what did you think of this week's episode? Of the closure of the Heavenly Games? Did you see the outcome coming? Did you expect the Lion God and the Hunter Goddess to emerge as the victors? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading them. Until the next tale, stay wild, stay curious, and stay ready for what's to come. Want to support the channel and become an even bigger part of our tribe? You can join for as little as the cost of a coffee each month. Your support helps me continue creating the content you love, but of course, just having you here is already more than enough. Thank you for being part of this journey. To those of you who have already joined the tribe, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are truly the heartbeat of this channel. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.